You are now watching Jets Guru. Be sure to tune in every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Hey, let's go! Let's go now! Let's go top three! 1, 2, 3! Yes!
This is Daniel Smith from Jets Guru. Welcome to the show. All gas, no brakes. Let's go, Jets. Woo! What is going on, guys? Jets Guru in the house. Welcome to the show. In the opponent's colors, like we do on game week, to try to, throw a little hex out there, wearing the opposing team's colors. Just something I've always done. I guess it doesn't seem to be working this year, but I mean, I came out with a proclamation, right? You guys saw it. I was like, the season is done. I was so hurt. I was so hurt watching that Raiders game because I just know what a waste of a game that was for the New York Jets. When you really look at it, it was a complete waste of a game. The Eagles win, completely erased after losing to the Raiders like that. In flux with coaches out the door. They couldn't even get it going with their quarterback to receiver. And every single time, it seems like the Jets play down to their competition offensively. Every single time, they make the other team's defense look just as good as the Jets' defense. And it boggles my mind. But if you're really watching the game, you see the clear difference. The offense is completely mishandled. Once again, another season with a Jets team that has a defense and weapons to go ahead and perform. And yes, we don't want to pile on Zach Wilson, but now we have a new coordinator, which we don't even know that he's very good. We've got a few new players and still the same results. Zach Wilson ranked 29th in the league. He's one of the worst quarterbacks over the last 3 years. And some of that blame has to be spread out across the board. And I think we'll all agree with that. Every single one of us will agree. It's not just Zach Wilson. This offensive line, it hasn't been because the Jets haven't went out and tried to make additions. They've tried over the last 3 years to make additions to this offensive line. And every single year, it's gotten beat up, and beat up. And the only reason why they're even functional right now is because of the fact that they brought in depth for this line. Max Mitchell then became your third option instead of your second option, but now he's playing, right? You have Becton who could play both sides with Dwayne Brown. You had a center who could play inside and outside, right? You also had on both sides of the ball, right? You had, on both positions with McGovern and also with Tippmann. So the Vera Tucker inside outside guy, like they had flexibility, and it's like they just get chopped down every single year. And that definitely has contributed to the season, of course, because Dwayne Brown 4 plays in lets Aaron Rodgers get hurt there, but I wouldn't even say lets him get hurt. I mean, come on, guys. You didn't think he was going to get touched this year? It's just really unfortunate. And to me, if anything, it's more of bad Jets luck than it is that Aaron Rodgers even 40 or the Jets offensive line is awful, because there's other offensive lines that have been beat up. But this is tough. You're talking about your third string tackle You're talking about guys coming off that retirement that are about to play for the Jets. You're on your second center. And at one point you're on your third center. Different guards, guys, pieces in and out. So we can't just sit here and just say it's just Zach Wilson. If we're gonna be fair, and we gotta be fair sometimes when we evaluate the New York Jets. We can't just say Zach. Now, when Zach sucks, we got to call it out. And he's been sucking, so we're calling it out. And then people jump on me, yo, you're a Zach hater, Then he comes out, and I'll say, okay, well, no turnovers in this game. Jets go out and win, manages the ball, a couple big throws at the end of the game. Oh, man, you're the biggest Zach Wilson fan ever. How can you not see it? I am neither of these things, people. And the people that really watch the show and consume the media week in and week out know me and know I just call it how it is. If the guy plays a solid game, if the guy does what he needs to do, I'm going to call it out and let it know. If he's one of the contributors to the end of the game, I'm going to let it know. And he was a contributor, a main contributor once again to the ending of this game. How could you sit here and not say it? The Jets defense once again gets the Jets the ball off of a turnover. The Jets have a very good drive where Zach Wilson is making some nice throws. He even makes a throw to Lazard where he's not even looking and he just kind of flicks the ball, kind of Aaron Rodgers-like. And I'm like, okay, the kid's feeling himself a little bit. But don't lose sight of the big picture. It's a close game. And remember, this was a problem with Zach Wilson in the past. It's just we haven't really seen him in that rhythm. He's looked scared playing. We haven't seen him that cocky Zach Wilson, that finesse Zach Wilson. We don't need that. So what's interesting is later in the drive, I'm like, the Jets are on the 20. They have a good chance to score here. Let's go, Jets. Even if they don't score, they could get points. I believe in the Jets defense. I think at that point in time, we had 2 timeouts left. We could get the ball back, come drive for a field goal. We got one of the best field goal kickers in the game, in my opinion. He'll go out there and hit a 52-yarder, no problem. And we're going to overtime with our defense, and this is how the Jets win games this year. So I was kind of ready for that. And I'm watching Zach drop back. And I see the receivers start to develop to the left, and I see Lazard kind of come in and then sit there, which is what I want him to do as a receiver. I want to give my quarterback a target window. The problem with this is, and everyone's saying Lazard needs to step into the ball. He needs to step into the ball. Guys, Zach Wilson throws a strong ball, okay? You want to make sure you get that first down and you're sitting. That's the play, to sit in that pocket. And if you've ever run full stop, turn, sit in a pocket, it's kind of hard to just leap forward when you're expecting the ball to come in, right? And you're leaning. The linebacker's watching Zach the whole time. And as soon as he threw the ball, he broke on it. And he picked it. And he made a good play because he is not the greatest linebacker of all time. And Zach throws a crisp ball. But you listen to Zach Wilson at the end of the press conference, and he talks about, yeah, I know, I kind of try to fit it in there. Well, you don't want to kind of try to fit it in there. You're in a place where you can't have a turnover and you can't have a sack because you don't want to have to use a timeout that you might need later on for your defense to help get them off the field and give your offense 30, 40 seconds. These are the things that are the differences between a playoff team and not a playoff team. Turnovers like that. And then even when you get the ball back, it's like at that point, it's a Hail Mary. And even then, Conklin undercuts Garrett underneath where he might have had a really good shot at catching it. And everyone's like, oh, Zach threw an amazing Hail Mary pass. It's just like, guys, come on. All right. Sometimes we got to let it go. All right. And I'm ready to just let it go, man. I just can't do this anymore. I always give quarterbacks the benefit of the doubt year 1. Year 2, I expect to see a little bit more. Year 3, I expect you to have control of the offense, not to be great every game. I don't think Trevor Lawrence has been great every game. He's actually struggling right now. That happens. But I want to see growth. And I have not seen it from this guy. And there's been weapons that have been added to the Jets despite the offensive line. And there's other units that have hurt offensive lines. And there's other units that are playing with quarterbacks who've never even seen the playbook before. And there's all sorts of stuff going on out there. And my guy can't go out there and get us a touchdown. The last time the Jets have scored a touchdown, I mean, over 24 points a game, which is what it's going to take to beat Buffalo, probably 21, 24 points a game. Maybe depending on the weather, if it's an ugly weather game, you're going to still need at least 17. And I don't know if the Jets can get you that, guys, especially if it's bad weather. Then you're definitely expecting maybe 2-3 field goals, something like that. Maybe the Buffalo Bills win 16-9. The Jets defense get 2-3 turnovers, couple sacks. Josh Allen throws for like 170 yards, and they still win. Because that is what has been happening to the New York Jets. The defense has to be perfect. They have to come out and play the most perfect game ever. And if they don't, it's like everyone nitpicks the defense. Well, they allowed this many rushing yards. Those rushing yards are inconsequential to the ending of what could have been a good game. You're going to have drives where people they do something, because not every team in the NFL is as inept as the New York Jets on offense. So when you have the leading rusher in the league last year, which was Jacobs, yeah, he might run for over 100 yards. But the Jets don't give up the yards. They don't give up the touchdowns. They keep the offense in the game all the way to the end. And this is when the offense continually flips field position on them where they can't attack in the same way. The Jets defense barely plays with a lead, which completely changes the playbook and how the defense coordinator is going to call the game when the opponent's getting the ball at the 35, the 40, the 50-yard line. It's a different type of defense when you're playing with a lead than when you're trying to make a comeback. You can't take certain chances maybe that you would if you had a 7 or a 10-point lead. Imagine if the Jets were they actually have a stat. It's a real stat that if the Jets just scored league average over the last 2 years, they would be like 21-5. 21-5. My whole life, I've been waiting to watch Vinny and the Jets again, man. I've been waiting for that again. A Jets offense where it's like, you know what? We're going to come in there. We're going to put it on you, man. And the defense was good. And not even Ryan Fitzpatrick, because even then Fitzpatrick would have awful, awful moments. He threw a bunch of touchdowns, but ultimately it was a big letdown anyways in Buffalo. Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, it doesn't even matter. And when you put this all together and you start to go, well, when did Zach Wilson look good this season so far? I'm not talking about the turnovers. He's done a good job at eliminating turnovers, but he's actually done that throwing the football. He's done that for a good portion of his career now. He fumbles, but he's over the last 2 years kind of slowed down on those interceptions, but it's mostly out of fear. He's not the same player that he was that we drafted number 2. I'll tell you that much. And that's because of the offensive coordinator, Mr. Hackett, who we're way past halfway now, and he can't find a way to put together an offense that would be good enough and suitable to fit to Zach Wilson's playing style. And the last time we saw Zach Wilson play where you go, wow, is he actually turning the corner a little bit, was the Kansas City game. And we don't have motion. We don't have the shotgun. We don't have plays that challenge the defense. And at the time, the Chiefs were one of the best defenses in the league. And it kind of felt like, now looking at it, like, hey, man, what do we have to lose? And he kind of opened it up. And then once they won, and then once they lost, and he said, okay, well, maybe we could rein this back in a little bit, let the defense do their thing, and let Zach kind of throw when we need to. But it's become very predictable, very vanilla. And even at times, you're sitting there and you're going to be like, run, pass, and then he'll put him in shotgun. Then the Jets will get some movement. Then a penalty will happen. Then the drive will stall out. Then they'll come out the next drive. They'll run on first down, and it'll set up a 2nd and 12. And then guess what do you think they're going to do? They're going to pass, right? Oh, okay. And then now it's 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, because they couldn't find anyone who could beat man coverage. So you had to dump it down. And now you're 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8. What do you think they're going to do here? You think they're going to run or they're going to pass? They're going to pass. Hardly no creativity on first down. And then there's no pride in anything. Like when a guy has a good run or a good series, it's like they don't come back to him. I don't understand that. It's like they'll switch him in and out. Here's little Michael Carter, little Cook. Now you got Breece Hall. You got him off rhythm now. You're not taking any shots down the field, but every time the Jets take a shot down the field, I see it's like maybe 3 or 4 times every couple games, you'll see it across those 4 games, they'll throw a flag, and you're like, yeah, there you go. That's what you need. That's what other teams do in the league. You just got to throw it up, let Garrett Wilson go and get the football. Because if you put the ball up, you got to trust your guy to go and get it. And sometimes you got to count it as like, okay, that's a punt, because this drive's going to stall anyways. You got to shake it up a little bit. You can't just release a guy like Michael Carter and be like, yeah, we shuck it up. And when your quarterback's playing really bad, you have to consider it, man. Are we really going to go down this again? Really? If we don't score another touchdown against Buffalo, we're really going to let this slide again? We're just going to – well, who are you going to put in, Dan? Simeon? Boyle? Why the hell are they on the roster? I thought this was the NFL, the best of the best. Why is your backup quarterback not suitable enough to run your offense? Why isn't your 3rd string quarterback not suitable enough to run your offense? Why didn't you have a plan for Zach Wilson if Aaron Rodgers got hurt? Why? There were plenty enough quarterbacks. We spoke about it. Who was available? He wasn't even supposed to play, but we as Jet fans knew it, and we all sucked up the juice. Yeah, Aaron. And I can't wait, and I hope he comes back tomorrow. I don't care. But what I'm saying is there was no plan. And at the end of the day, all the pieces that they made to accommodate Aaron Rodgers and bring his talent in, and I do believe with this defense, if Aaron Rodgers was here healthy, right now we would probably be 6-2. Something like that. Like, honestly, like I really truly believe that. Honestly, we probably win the Patriots game. We probably win the Raiders game, to be honest with you. So we probably have 2 more wins. 6-3, something like that, 6-2. But there's no plan. And that's what makes things so frustrating for Jet fans, because now we're looking at 13 years, no playoffs if the Jets don't get in, continuing the longest streak in American professional sports. And we spent a ton of money. I could tell you right now, I'm a season ticket holder. My plan just went up. I think it went up by like $40 too. I think the seats are like baseline, like $240, like a month. I mean, not a month, $240 a game. So unless the Jets start winning, I'm not making no money back off that. The investment, it's not even worth the investment. Everybody wants to see the Jets succeed. And it feels like we're wasting this defense. That this offense is so putrid the last couple of years that we're wasting any progress. Like, Robert Saleh shouldn't have to be worrying about this. He came here as a defensive coordinator, head coach. And you know what he did in that time? Shaped up the defense to be the number 1 defense in the NFL, according to PFF. Now, everyone's defense is a little bit different, the way they calculate stuff, but the Jets are right there again. Top 3, right again. And you're going to waste another year of Sauce Gardner and Reed together. Whitehead's having like pretty much, I don't know, a career year. Where's he going to end up with 6-7 interceptions this year? I mean, The defensive line is flourishing. Your young players are flourishing. I don't understand it. It's just and then do you lose the locker room? Because this is like, like it's just, we're on the same track again. We're this close from being a potential playoff team, and it just doesn't seem like there's a way out. We got to count on the defense to make turnovers and hope that we get more field goals than the Jets give up points in a league that's made for offenses. It's going to be really tough, and it shouldn't be this hard. We should have beat the Raiders. We should have beat the Chargers at home. It's just these. If we're going to lose these types of games, then the Browns are completely out of sight. The Commanders are playing a lot better. The Falcons, even, they don't have, none of these teams have the defenses that we have. I mean, the game's going to be low scoring, but if you can't get at least 1 or 2 touchdowns in, then the Jets defense can't be perfect every game. Yeah, let me ask you this. If they're the number 1 defense in the league, can they be +1 number 1 defense in the league, or +2 or +3 or +45 number 1 defense in the league? Like, are we doing extra points on top of the number 1 defense in the league? I'm not understanding here. What more you want this defense to do if they're number 1 in the league in defense? What more do you want them to do? So I want to see my quarterback play better in the early downs, throwing the football to set himself up for play action and maybe having taken one down the field on a go route, with Garrett Wilson. And I want to see Hackett open it up a little bit. And if the offensive line, if Zach Wilson can't identify the blitzers that are coming, because towards the end of the game, you saw some of those zero blitzes coming, you got to be able to check out of that, and you have a shotgun build in there to give him an extra second to be able, or half a second to be able to throw that football. You having him come from center, knowing he's going to get crushed. I just don't understand any of it. The running plays that Hackett's calling between the A and B gaps are being just stuffed by the stacked boxes. There's no creativity. If you cannot open up the pass at all, they're going to stack those boxes. They're going to dare your quarterback and your receivers to beat man coverage and make a good throw. And when they blitz from that stacked box, they're right on top of you. And it's harder to identify because they're not coming to try to disguise that they're going and pass. They're right there. So you're like, okay, they're coming, but which ones? Well, how many blockers do you have? Do you think an extra 2 are coming? Well, hey, we got to check out of this, and we got to be able to put a play out there that's going to make sense for what you think's happening. And if it's not, and they don't, then maybe take off and run there. You got the legs for it, and we saw him actually use his legs. Keep using your legs. So for me, it's really tough to watch this team because the defense is the best I've seen since Rex Ryan's defense. And it's really, really fun to watch them just kind of clamp down on some of the best quarterbacks. We have not seen a Jets defense clamp down on quarterbacks like this since Revis was here with Rex Ryan that year, and they just absolutely dominated. But the Jets offense at that time was way better than this offense. I would take that. I would take Mark Sanchez right now. I would pray for Mark Sanchez right now. I swear to you, I would pray. Imagine Mark Sanchez with Garrett Wilson and these guys. Much better. We took Mark Sanchez for granted, but he blew his confidence. And then he couldn't make that out route throw. Remember, it was he just didn't have enough arm strength on those little outs, and then he would just get them picked. Ugh. So many wasted Jet teams, right? So, you're looking at this Bills game. It's supposed to be a little bit sloppy. The Bills are 1-3 in their last 4 games. The Jets are struggling too. It's going to be a close game, guys. We play well against the Bills. I don't think you could really blow out this Jets defense unless they give up. Unless they completely see the offense has no shot and it's like, man, and it starts getting real ugly. I don't think people could really blow out the Jets defense. We even saw the Jets defense without their number 3 corners against the Broncos. Okay. And they still went out and won that football game. So this defense is very well tuned in. Quincy Williams Mosley. They're playing some amazing football. They're some of the best linebackers in the game right now. I mean, if you look at the Jets defense, I think there's like 4 or 5 players that are like top 3 or top 5 in their positions. It's like, dude, this, like, when you see the Pro Bowl, watch, it's going to be like all New York Jets, like in the AFC. It's going to be if they still have hope, right? You're not. I don't blame these guys for not, maybe when you're playing for a winning team or something means something. It's subconscious, man. You just give that little extra. It may not mean much on a scale, but in between the lines of the football game and anything you do in life, when you're tuned in, when you're focused, there's something about it, man. I don't care what it is. It could be video games. It could be something you're doing at work. It could be an NFL football game. It could be anything. When you're tuned in, whatever you're doing is just going to be a little bit better, a little sharper, a little bit more tuned in than when you feel like you don't have no shot. Then you have to go out and then just actually attack these guys and physically hit them. And then you know that this effort, this number 1 defense in the league effort, is going to be wasted by this offense. So the offense has to come out and prove something. I think even more so than winning this game. And, I truly believe that, because we spoke about that early in the season, right? That the Jets have to be within 1 of 500. So even if they lose this and they beat Miami, they got to win 1 out of these next 2. If they lose both of them, you can forget about it. The Jets are not winning out the rest of the way. The Jets have to go on like a little bit of a run, then they maybe lose one, and then they close out on a run. The Jets cannot lose more than 7 games. If you go ahead and do that, you're already at 7, right? Buffalo's going to give you 6, and then, Miami's going to give you 7, and then that's it. You're toast. And then we're going to see the finger pointing that's going to be happening, because that team is ready to rock and roll, and they have weapons. And it's going to fall on the quarterback. It's going to fall on the offensive coordinator. And the offensive line is somewhat going to get a pass, because these guys they're not there. Like, what are you going to do? Are you going to jump on a third string guard or center or tackle? Like, okay, like, well, that's, it is what it is. Like, AVT was out. I mean, maybe you could talk about his ability to be there. And like, I think you're at that point now with AVT. You could say they're freak injuries, but he's not there now. The 2 seasons, that's the same. So, guys, I'm telling you right now, I really, 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 really appreciate the support. But I got to go. I got somebody coughing up a lung here, and I got to go see what's going on. So, Jets 21, Bills 17. Jets offense wakes up, 2 touchdowns, and then the rest we're going to just say field goals, maybe a safety in the mix. Josh Allen, 2 turnovers, throws for about 180 yards. The Jets win. They shock the Bills. We get back on track for the first place game in MetLife the following week. Raiders beat Dolphins. Whoever wins Jets versus Dolphins becomes the first place holder for the time being. But don't forget, guys, next Wednesday, okay, 5 p.m. Eastern time, okay, please tune in. That's next Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern time, okay? Please tune in. We're going to have a special guest from ESPN. So appreciate the support. Hopefully we get a win. I hate these slides. I hate all this kind of stuff, but it's just part of it. So Jets Guru out.